Hi, I'm Russell Sturgis. I'm the founder and principal of EAP Mentor. Welcome to the last post and video that I'm doing in a series based on or centered around the 8 principles of love, which is exploring the core philosophy to the Enhances Awareness program. This blog series and the associated philosophy based on this idea of 8 principles of love saw alignment between the 8 Beatitudes from the Sermon on the Mount, and it sits as a foundation to the work that is carried out by the mentors in the Enhances Awareness program. The 8th Beatitude, which is blessed those that are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. There's been quite a lot of debate over many years, even going right back as far as St. Augustine, about whether or not this was an add-on. And I discussed that in the written blog, which is worthwhile having a look at. Ultimately, what we're wanting to really focus on, though, is what the core message is within this beatitude. And the idea might be to want to focus on persecution, when in fact it's about the state of righteousness. Now, this is the second time the word righteousness has been used in the Beatitudes. If you remember, in the 4th Beatitude, it says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled." So we talked about the first part of this journey being the first 4 Beatitudes being a dark night of the soul experience, and this was the last, that 4th Beatitude within that experience. And the idea was that in coming out of that, you had shifted your value system from one that was oriented towards wealth, power, love and fame to becoming much more focused on wanting to be aligned with love, given that what we're talking about here is a philosophy of love. And so hunger and thirst after righteousness, righteousness was really about turning up in the world with an awareness of the needs of others, what we would call social justice. And so this was sort of promoting this idea that you would become much more aware of and focused on serving others, helping others, particularly in times of need. Then we move into the treasury of light with the next beatitude. And so the next few beatitudes are then talking about expanded ways of being able to relate to people. So we've got blessed are the merciful. So this is about forgiveness and starting to extend yourself in the way in which you can relate to people differently. You can relate to people's behaviour as a call for help if they're not extending love, and so shift how you relate to them as a result of seeing what's going on differently. Then you move into purity of heart. That's charity, and this form of charity, being pure love, is where you are really desirous of the spiritual welfare. We've talked about social justice. Well, this is spiritual justice. This is spiritual welfare. And this is about reaching out and helping to raise the consciousness of other people. So this is more than just about meeting their physical needs. This is more than about meeting their emotional and their mental needs. This is now about their spiritual needs and really helping them shift those core values. And the reason that we tie values up with spiritual is that what we value is where we put our energy. And this whole idea of placing energy anywhere is about spirit. You know, we think of team spirit, it's the energy that a team has. I know that it sort of seems to cross borders, but it's much the same message. There's this idea that we're now moving into this place of are really wanting to help people orientate their energy so that it is much more aligned with sustainable values. And of course, sustainable values are the sorts of things that we're talking about. So it's about social justice. It's about forgiveness and mercy. It's about pure love, or that form of charity, which is the highest expression of love. And then we come to this last criteria, which is about the ability for us to live consistently in a state of righteousness. Now, in the last post, we talked about being a peacemaker, which is the seventh beatitude, and that's about reconciliation. And I alluded to the idea that this is the point at which we reconcile our highest sense of spiritual awareness, some would call that Buddha consciousness or Christ consciousness, with who we are as a human being. And in reconciling that, we now enter into this place where we are fully committed 24/7 to this being our way of life, that Christ consciousness or Buddha consciousness is how we turn up in each moment. And so what happens is that these things, as a result of having reprogrammed your mind, and that's what we're essentially helping you to do in the Enhances Awareness program. And I'll just finish that sentence off. So what we're doing is helping you to reprogram to become much more naturally inclined to have love as your priority, have peace as your priority, have service as your priority, and that this is how you live your life. And this is about people who are living righteously. So this is different to 4, where it was about seeking to be righteous. You've now got it, you've now integrated it, and it's who you are, it's who you be, it's how you turn up in the world. So we help people get to that place in the Enhances Awareness program, first of all, by identifying what people's current reality is. And that's really about looking at what's the sort of stuff that you're dealing with right now, in terms of depression or anger or fear or worry or judgment, loneliness, addictions, whatever it is that's causing you to be discombobulated. I love that word, discombobulated. You're looking for something to have it be different. And so one of our core principles says you can't change what you can't see. So here's this opportunity in awareness to, first of all, identify where you're at, then identify what the cause of that is, and we talk about that, about being the narrative that you have, the belief about poor self-worth. And then we get you to explore the idea of, well, what would my life look like if I was much more aligned with a more self-loving perspective, or a greater sense of personal desire to be kinder to myself and to other people? How could my life be different? So we explore what an alternate reality would look like, and then we help you create a strategy that gets you from your place of suffering to that place that's much more oriented towards love consciousness. And of course, once you've developed that ability to be mindful, then your mentor helps you to develop a practice, to be more aware. Your mentor then helps to create a culture of developing mindfulness as a way of life. And so, ultimately you start out doing it occasionally, but as you continue to work with this, you move to a place where this becomes your modus operandi. This is the thing that you're doing all the time. So in this place, EAP is really about getting you to the place of helping you to remember that you have a choice to be kinder to yourself, to others, and to the planet. And that this becomes how you think and relate to your human experience consistently. Now, invariably, what happens with this is that as you turn up with a greater sense of inner peace, with a greater sense of joy, where you have much more love in terms of how you relate to yourself and to other people, you are naturally inclined to demonstrate goodness and gentleness, humility, all of these attributes. Sometimes that becomes a little bit much for people to handle, and so they can move into persecution mode. But one of the things that happens in developing awareness is you get real clear about whose business is whose. So when somebody turns up in that way of persecuting you, then you are able to apply the skills that you learnt when you were developing the works of mercy, the spiritual works of mercy. If you remember, this comes from the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus said, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who despitefully use you and persecute you. So what happens is you naturally find yourself moving to a place where you understand that when somebody's in an attack mode, it's a call for help. And so what this beatitude has the potential to basically help us appreciate is that there's a point in the awakening, in the process of becoming more enlightened, more aware, where you start to consistently throughout all of your day practice mindfulness, which, if you remember, is remembering that you have the choice to be more loving to yourself, others, and to the planet. And this becomes a way of life. This becomes who you be and how you turn up. The result of this is that you're not dealing with all of the things that were causing you your suffering, and that it is possible to have peace, love, and joy as a natural and common experience as a human being. Thank you for reading and watching the videos associated with this series on the principles of love. If you'd like to know more about EAP, please go to our website, which is at Enhances Awareness Program. We have lots of really lovely stuff on there. That's on our Facebook page. On our website, you can go to www.eapmentor.com, and once again you get to find out about the programs that we have, more about the work that we're doing. You can subscribe there to our newsletter that comes out once a month. It's an electronic newsletter that has heaps and heaps of wonderful stuff about the practice of awareness and mindfulness. Anyway, thank you so much, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.